In a recent issue of the Inland Valley Daily Bulletin newspaper, this particular location was described in a news story, the events for which transpired on Monday the 18th at 10:52 in the evening. At this location, according to the article, a police officer in a cruiser, a gentleman by the name of Sergeant David McBride, was at this location. There was a red light. He was responding to a call southerly in that direction. As he was here at 10:52 in the evening, an unlicensed drunk driver by the name of Francisco Javier Gutierrez smashed into the back of his vehicle. When other members of law enforcement arrived on scene, Francisco Gutierrez was taken into custody, and the article that described Sergeant McBride as badly banged up listed him as recuperating. And this is the facility located, I think, just northwest of Victorville, where Mr. Gutierrez is currently being held. According to the Sheriff's Department website, in the absence of a $220,000 bond, the suspect is facing, among others, charges of felony DUI and driving without a license. Many years ago, one of the ways I used to put some money in my pocket was by driving a taxi cab. Cab drivers obviously are on the road a lot more than regular people with California driver's licenses. They're racking up many more miles. They're in their vehicles 10 to 16 hours a shift, and by the very nature of rushing around and trying to get to places on schedule, they rack up a whole bunch of moving violations. It's very important, if you wish to be able to keep your cab driver permit, that you keep your record pretty clean. The bottom line being, taxi drivers contest just about every ticket they get. They will go to court, they will make the appearance, and either hire a lawyer or try to defend it themselves. Why do I mention any of this? For the purpose of letting you know that I know what I'm talking about. I have been in courts in Southern California defending against moving violations on close to a dozen occasions, and I've seen what goes on in these courtrooms. Do I know that Francisco Gutierrez is an illegal alien? I don't. But I do know the type of informal code language used to describe someone who is in the country unlawfully in newspaper articles just like the one I read where I learned of this situation, and in courts just like the one I'm standing directly in front of now. In the newspaper article I read, it stated that the suspect was charged with felony DUI and that he was discovered to be driving without a license. Ladies and gentlemen, driving without a license, not with a suspended license, but without a license, over 90% of the time, that means the person is an illegal alien. That's a reality of how they talk about things in the mainstream media in California. In addition to that, just like in this court building that you see in front of you, there is a dance that is played out on a daily basis in courtrooms like this and across the state 5 days a week. If you're ever brought in on a traffic citation, you'll be herded into a room. They will play first, they will usually play a recording. They will tell you your rights in English, and then they will play it in Spanish. The bailiff will give you some instructions. He will tell you what's going to be taking place. He tries to answer some questions, and invariably the first cases that appear before the judge are the Spanish language speakers. Why is that? Because interpreters cost money, so they try to get them out of the way first. And commonly what you will see in courtrooms that deal with a good deal of volume of traffic violations is you will have people who are illegal aliens. They will step up. They will, with the aid of the interpreter, answer the questions of the judge, and the judge will ask, do you have a license? And the answer will be no. And the next question will be, can you get a license? The answer is very commonly no. There is a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that those defendants can't get licenses, it's because they're in the country unlawfully, and in the state of California, the DMV does not issue driver's licenses to people in the country illegally, at least not yet. Is there probable cause at that time for an immigration violation? Absolutely. Does the deputy sheriff, the bailiff, the judge, or any other member of law enforcement or the administration of justice involved with the court follow up on that? They don't. These people are given a fine. Usually, if there's any jail time to be done, it's not until after the third or fourth violation where they will impose it, and they are recycled right back into American society as if they were just everyday members of the California public, citizens like anyone else. It is by ignoring this type of obvious immigration law violation that you wind up with statistics like the Automobile Club of America tells us about the County of Los Angeles. 3 out of every 10 drivers on the road in LA County are unlicensed and or uninsured, very commonly both. And the reason for that, the majority of the time, is because the people sharing the road with you are illegal aliens. What does this mean? This means that most people in the state of California who've been driving for 10 years or longer can usually tell you at least one story about something they've had happen to them or that has happened to a friend of theirs where they were hit by an illegal alien. The person did not have any insurance. The individual didn't have a license, and if the cop shows up, he will invariably inform the victim of the accident, hey, there's nothing we can do. This guy hasn't got a license, he hasn't got any insurance, we'd be lucky if we can get an address. Are accidents or people running through red lights, is that the worst thing that goes on? No. Fortunately, for Sergeant McBride, he didn't wind up losing his life. But if you do a scan of the internet, you will see there are dozens and dozens of stories of DUIs being committed by people who have no business being in this country. And very often, like other drunk drivers, they will wind up killing somebody. Off the top of my head, I can think of Tyler London, a young man who I believe was killed in 2007 up in the Antelope Valley by a gentleman who was a repeat DUI offender. They get them in their grips. Law enforcement's got them. They don't hold them to the letter of the law, and ultimately they go right back out into society. They're driving around as unlawfully as their presence in the country is unlawful. And that's just reality. It is one of the results of a state government and a federal government that refuses to enforce its own laws. Who pays? The drivers pay. The California taxpayers pay. And in this particular instance, the matter I was talking about, Sergeant David McBride, who was simply attempting to do his job, boy, did he pay.